Guess we better not tell our wives that we're on our own at-home date night on this.
Move and you die, Roman.
I'm not a Roman.
There's Jennifer Sky back again.
So evidently they had never met before. I didn't remember that. This is the first meeting between these two stellar characters.
Well, and the way we shot this, they actually did never meet in real life either, because we just made.
This is an important part in Ted's character. He's learning that the stars of the series is dead. You got to admit, this is an interesting way to start a season. It was one thing to end a season where you think the characters are dead, to start a season when they're actually dead.
I think it was wonderful.
Yeah.
Because it was one of those cliffhangers like, well, how are they going to get out of this one? And this was all shot at a set that we built called The Mound, which was a huge semicircular foam sort of embankment that we ended up using 10, 15, 20 times. This is one of the first times in television that we created digital sets, or that I know of in television, where we were using digital sets. Now it's utilized quite a bit in feature films, but where almost everything was shot in front of a blue screen with just a little bit of flooring. And so it really made it hard for the actors to sort of have to imagine what we were going to put in 2 or 3 months later. But they did a great job.
They did. I was actually on the set of this particular show. I was down in New Zealand, and yeah, it was fascinating to watch it come together. I was there when this particular one was filmed, and it was as odd to watch it being filmed as it was to watch for them to act it. But it's certainly, and in the end, you and Bernie Joyce and everybody made it come together. And we're learning here they're in heaven, which may come as a surprise to Xena. I figure Gabrielle probably figured she was had a good bet, but.
Well, I think Xena is probably suspect at this point, like maybe this is just a cruel joke.
Maybe heaven sucks, or
right.
A better word than sucks. So, okay, everything's happy. They're going to live happily ever after. No problem. End of conflict. Yes. What could happen up here? They're so safe and so secure.
I remember reading the script for this and thinking, well, okay, in the teaser, which is the portion of the show before the opening titles, we'll be spending more money trying to create this situation than we would spend on a whole episode otherwise. So by this point, I'm already crying and hemorrhaging money, but it was worth it because the ladies look great.
You notice how pretty everybody is in heaven?
Yeah.
I think that's the ultimate ethical norm, is that good people go to heaven.
Only hot people go to heaven. Yeah. And if it's not bad enough to do a fight scene, let's do a fight scene with everybody hanging on a wire.
Guess who? I had a long conversation with Hudson on the set when she was in that makeup, and I found her oddly attractive in the makeup.
Yeah.
I thought she was very sexy as a devil.
Yeah. Hudson is sexy in pretty much every situation that we put her in before, which is terrific.
Very sexy gal.
And Xena will make some self-sacrificing gesture. Fear not. We'll be ready for them.
The mythology we're tapping into here was Milton.
Eat up my little dumpling.
The idea of the revolt of the angels, or in this case, the revolt of the demons in hell, trying to take over heaven.
Well, it wasn't enough for Xena to alter history on Earth. I think we had to go after every...
Well, this is Xena Scroll number 78, I believe. This actually tells the true story of her adventures in heaven and hell.
Correct.
Let me ask you a very deep philosophical question about this series. In real life, who do you think would win in a fight? Renee or Lucy?
Well, we can't wait. We should go
If Lucy and Renee fought each other?
Yes.
time before she becomes one of them.
The actors or their
The
characters?
actors.
Ooh.
See, Lucy's got height and reach, but Renee, you know, she's got It's very powerful.
Yeah, they both became very, very good fighters.
Sanctifies your existence.
I think it'd be a draw. I think they'd both conk each other by the end, and that'd be it.
Yeah.
Renee is really, really good with a staff.
That's true. That could be the, and we couldn't allow Lucy to actually have a sword.
No, no.
Yes.
So she would.
They
yeah.
both beat up Hudson though. You know, having not seen some of these episodes for years, it's kind of fascinating to watch them.
Yeah.
Pretty good television.
I think so. I tell you what's interesting, when you haven't seen the show for a while and you watch it, two things strike me. One, just how far we went in, not necessarily the production aspects and everything, but in terms of how deep we went into character and how extreme we were able to get with their characters. And then also, I think how good the shows, especially in the third, fourth, and fifth season, really looked. And just how epic a feel I think we were really going for. And that doesn't necessarily mean big in terms of number of people or epic, but just the epic ideas and epic execution, I think, is really fun to see.
Yeah, it was a very ambitious show. It was a great thing working for Rob, you know.
Yeah.
He killed us sometimes, but
Yeah.
it was great that he wanted to do so much.
Yes.
Now, why do you think he enjoyed crucifying his wife so frequently?
He probably was never allowed to do it at home, and perhaps maybe she wore the pants in the family, so.
That's a possibility.
Yeah. We never got to the point where we actually eviscerated a character, like blew them into 1,000 pieces, a lead character that came back, though, did we? I think that would have been pretty much the end.
You know what? I think we did. I mean, I don't remember. But I
Right.
think if we went over, there was something that we had to glue back together or something like that.
I remember reading this part of the script, and Xena comes down on fire. Thank you for that.
We should bury them here.
We're not gonna make it to Greece, huh?
So many Romans around, I think it's gonna get us killed.
Jennifer, sweet kid.
Jennifer's guy was lovely to work with. She had another show that we worked on at some point,
I don't
did
think
she?
so. I don't think
No?
so.
Hey,
I think you're on.
My. Aren't you the brave one?
This was about a 2.5-hour makeup call for Hudson every day.
She's great in this.
Yes.
Hudson is. You know, when you think of those three actresses, Renee, Lucy, and Hudson, I mean, we couldn't have scored better. It was just,
Yes.
There was some just dumb luck in this whole thing.
Totally dumb luck.
They're just so good.
They're terrific. And all of them relished the ability to go in all kinds of different directions.
Right.
And never ever said to me anyway.
Cool. Renee looked
Yeah.
great there.
Sizzling. You know what I think? You wanted them to die so you'd have a reason to be a bitch.
I think this series might be solo act for Xena the Angel. I don't know how they can get out of this mess.
No,
It seems, the odds seem insurmountable.
I don't think they are going to get out of this mess. Were you ever concerned that we were stepping on religious toes too strongly with this episode or any of our other ones?
Not with this episode. I thought the heaven and hell mythology is so accepted into mainstream society, secular society too, talking about heaven and hell. And as far as the question whether does Xena deserve to stay down in hell just after she just took on all of Callisto's woes and stuff? I think the idea of who goes to heaven and who goes to hell in the popular consciousness is so complicated, and it's sort of assumed that only God knows who should do that. So I thought this was well within our thing. Obviously, the way is the one where where we went a little too far with a religious commentary. Although it was a very positive statement about Hinduism, but some people didn't like it.
Yeah, definitely. We were actually picketed down in New Zealand about that too.
I know,
Yeah.
I know.
And heaven should belong to those of us strong enough to take it. Why are we groveling down here in the slime? While they live up there in purity and grace.
Nobody's a demon like Xena's a
Right.
demon. now hell has a real problem.
That's right.
Or now heaven has a real problem because hell is being run by a serious customer.
Yep. She has
I
the
love
biggest
this.
horns, so you know
Yeah.
that she's going
Yeah.
to.
Will be ours.
This was one of the scenes that were filmed when I was on the set.
Yeah.
And walking out there and seeing Lucy up there, that makeup was such a hoot.
And going to lunch every day, you never knew. You sit down with these ladies like, okay, you're an angel today. Oh, you're a devil today.
Yeah. Yeah, I had lunch once with Renee when she was in the makeup, her crazy makeup, and we were talking about dogs, I remember, and listening to her, or watching her talk about puppies and stuff
Right.
with the devil makeup was
Are you telling me
wonderfully
that Xena's in hell and
ironic.
she's in paradise?
I think this is a lovely turn for Hudson as well, for the Callisto character.
Yeah, I do too, yeah. And this was something that, this was setting it right with Callisto. This is who Callisto could have been
Yes.
had her village not been burnt down.
Yeah.
And because she was a very sensitive, emotional person. And so now we've gone back to
would never do something like that.
who she was, and we've sort of cleansed her of that anger and that bitterness. I thought it was a really nice turn. And of course, Cena's down there as the demon of demons.
Right.
Would I?
I thought Hudson did this wonderfully.
Yeah. She's exuding an innocence even more so than like the early Gabrielle.
Right.
I'm sorry. I don't remember.
You stay away from me.
The irony of Xena in hell and Callisto in heaven with Gabrielle is just so juicy. It's great.
We should bury them here.
We're not gonna make it to Greece, huh?
So many Romans around, I think it's gonna get us killed.
Okay. Okay, we'll bury them here.
Ted's a good actor.
Yeah, it was really fun watching Ted over the course of the series add so many more layers to the character, just to go from a complete lovable doofus into a real pivotal part of the show.
Yeah.
If you're to get your wings, you'll have to undergo a trial of purification.
All right.
Well, everybody's being purified or
Yeah, this was, I really like the emotional heart of this show and the visuals.
Yes.
The logic is very labored at times. We did a lot of standing on our head to make this logic work.
Callisto, I am not buying it.
Callisto, stop it!
I know you are in there. You are evil to the core, and you always will be.
Don't touch me.
So sorry.
I am too.
Yeah, Hudson's doing a really good job with this. I remember writing this, I was really saying, should we take the extra twist of having it be Callisto is faking it?
right.
But I decided not to.
No, I think this is better. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's-
this is better. This is better. Yeah, this is.
I don't
this
blame
is-
you. I did a terrible thing.
And it's satisfying because this was like, she is emblematic of really the consequences of Xena's act.
Correct.
Now this has been wiped clean, and that's like Xena's sacrifice.
Yep.
Very satisfying. Now the series is going to be Gabrielle and Callisto, with the villain of the demon Xena haunting them at all times.
And there's got to be a love child in there somewhere too, doesn't there?
But certainly that's the direction we were going in that
Right.
Alexander the Great
Yes.
episode.
Yes.
That might have been why they killed it.
Poor John Fawcett, the director of this, who we like a lot, came down and sort of said, okay, I've got this script that's has about 800 visual effects shots, and can't afford to do everything that we want to do, and it's bigger than Ben-Hur, and I've got to fight every 5 seconds. How do I do this? And we just sort of said, well, we'll break it down into pieces and go for it. I think he did a terrific job keeping the emotion up and really getting the performances and spending the time where he needed to.
We're very lucky.
We are lucky, and it was also very hard in the early days to try to find directors that had done great performance and action and effects. And what we realized is that we really wanted to make sure we concentrated on performance first and foremost, and then we could sort of craft everything else around that and support the people who hadn't done that before. And somebody with John who had a lot of action and effects experience to boot from the beginning, so it was always nice to not have to teach from square one.
What was his experience before?
He had directed some lower budget features in Canada and done some television in Canada too. So much of these kind of fights were just making sure we could cover the hero actors, and then spending days and days and days on some of these wide shots, because the wire work here was so complex when you're flying so many people around a location at one time. You're constantly having people slam into each other, and
Did you ever have a serious injury doing any harness shots? Or?
We were fortunate enough that we never had major bad injuries. We were doing so many stunts, it's inevitable that people are going to get knocked around a bit, and we had lots of broken arms and things, but we never had a truly horrendous thing. And Lucy breaking her pelvis, thank God, wasn't on my watch. That we can thank Jay Leno for that.
That's true.
And what's great about for these actors okay, you get to play a demon and get to really chew the scenery and go over the top and have a wonderful time.
Callisto.
Hudson, Lucy, and Renee all do great demons in this.
So that was the full ironic turn that it's actually Callisto that gives Eli the mystical, philosophical meaning. Love is the way.
Right.
That's cool. I know it sounds like I'm bragging about what we did, but I'm like experiencing it for the first time. It's kind of neat. So here's a question. I might have known this once upon a time when I was writing it, but now I'll pose it. Is Xena so smart that when she took on Callisto's agony to purify Callisto, did she also know that ultimately Callisto was going to be the one who saves the day at the end by bringing them back to life?
Of course.
I think an of course is an appropriate response to any question like that for Xena.
She's a very clever lady, Xena.
She is.
She always seems to be one step ahead of the game. That was a cool effect.
Look how sweet she is.
Yeah.
Good actress.
Some very lovely music by Joe LaDuca as well.
Oh gosh, yeah. He classed up this show every week.
I think it's time
What for?
to meet your family.
Oh, a happy ending for Callisto. That's nice. Actually, I'm getting a little emotional here.
Oh, yeah?
I think that was nice.
He was. I can't cry on camera, though. It's embarrassing.
Keep in mind that Joker's been in love with Gabrielle for a long, long time.
Haven't we all?
Yeah, that's true.
We're going to be together for eternity.
And this experience that they had in Heaven and Hell sort of, we played with that for several episodes after this. They sort of carried residual.
Yeah. We did that with a
Things
lot
like-
of stuff. We kept it going. Rob was great at making that happen. You know,
Yeah.
he insisted that everything spiral on beyond the individual episode.
Yeah.
Great set there. I like that. And the lighting. Cool.
Almost looks a little Lord of the Ringsy, doesn't it?
Yes. Who are these guys?
I don't know. Wasn't that fun?